If you love Baltimore sports, you'll love WNST.net.
This is the third and final and best segment of Thursday Night Live. I'm Nestor. Welcome back to the Harriman House. It's all brought to you by Bud Light, our friends at Fremont Mortgage, the Goldfather, and the Zone. I think the mushroom sandwich has been ordered up. So, Glenn, this is what happens. You needed a closer. You know what I'm talking about, Dennis, right? I mean, Joe, your baseball family needed somebody to come in here and take care of the ninth inning and make sure we finish the show the right way. So you brought the big leaguer in. Dennis, tell everybody what I am officially as a radio host.
Well, you're not a closer, that's for sure. Maybe back in your heyday, but you're washed up. And
I went 9 innings back in my heyday. I had a lot of complete games.
Well, that might be true. I can't verify that, but I just know how you are now, and I just,
Flacco's been here 5 years, and you're still you and I never have a conversation like, hey Joe, hey Ness, what time? Okay, and that's it, right? That's our whole relationship, right?
Yeah, that's kind of how I try to keep it, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. It's worked out well so far.
You know what the thing is, though? There's always that fear that if you don't just keep it to that, then there's always you might get roped in to come do a radio show for Dennis Pitta.
Right, and something like that.
So you have to try to keep it simple and hope that Dennis doesn't try to rope you in.
Well, see, I don't do radio anymore, and after 17 years of doing this, I'm trying to put the Flacco-Nestor relationship into full perspective here. You know what I'm saying?
I hear you.
So it all started with you and that beater Volvo that you were driving.
You got it.
With stolen Pennsylvania plates, I think back in the day, right? So here we are. Have you put into perspective since the day you were drafted, 5 playoffs, 5 years, baby, contract, friendships, victories, losses, Flaccoing, and all of that stuff, through all of this, that the foo is the high watermark of everything that happened?
You know what? I haven't thought about that too many times, but people do
you know how
come up to me and say, hey, are you growing another mustache? Are you growing a beard? What do you got to do?
Now, what is it with the foo? And give everybody the whole story, because I want to bring it together, because I have looked through the pictures of me from last year, and I want to tell you, I don't know whose fault, one of the two of you, but I looked really, really, really stupid for like 6 weeks last year. But I love it, you know?
Yeah, we had those going for a pretty long time, and it kind of just started out as a little funny thing, but
until you saw my face.
Yeah,
mine was pretty thick, dude. You got to admit.
Yeah, it was.
Mine was pretty thick.
Everybody got to the point where they were getting pretty thick, and what I learned from it is I have no idea why people grow mustaches. It is a lot more work than
How many times you cut yourself, honestly?
I didn't cut it because I didn't really use anything that I would cut myself with. I just used like a electric trimmer.
Okay, so I use like a blade.
Yeah, see,
I bled for the cause.
Yeah, the only part I used blades on was in my chin and my cheeks and stuff like that to get that as close as I could so that the food looked more pronounced. Dennis here on the other hand, like there was a couple times, like the first night we showed up with it was a San Francisco game, and everybody was kind of like, man, Joe, yours is like, yours is pretty good. And they couldn't even tell Dennis had his because he still had like his 5 o'clock shadow over here and a little bit of a Fu Manchu.
How about Morgan?
So
what the hell was that? Like
Morgan had no ability to grow one.
Morgan's was.
He actually did he put makeup on it one time? Like it was like
he literally carried a little makeup kit that his wife gave him to kind of darken it in and touch it up. Because it just came in so thin.
You're making that up.
I'm dead. No, it's dead serious. Sam Cooke's was probably the best.
Sam's was good.
He's got like
Sam looked like a cop when he had his going. He looked official.
He actually that's actually his look.
I know. He needs to bring it back.
Any regrets on the foo other than Lee Evans dropping the ball and kind of missing the kick? I'm not going to blame the foo on that, but when you look back at the pictures, when I look back, I think I was part of the Flacco cause. We made over 10 grand for charity, for living classrooms, to give it up for that. So there was some goodness. But those pictures, it's like a period piece now, Like you look back and it looks like an 80s porn stash of some kind.
I think it'll be a good thing. I think we'll look back at that and it'll be something that we're allowed to, we're capable, me and Dennis will probably see that, 20 years from now and just start laughing about it, and we'll think about how it all came about and all that. So
wasn't this like a cousin or something that was
my cousin had a mustache.
This guy from New Jersey?
Yeah.
Oh, figures.
And we were making fun of him for just growing a mustache and, saying how dirty he looked and all that. And, then we decided for some, I don't even know why we decided to do it, but it was probably, I'd like to say it was like a drunken decision, but it wasn't. I really don't have like an excuse for why we.
It's like a tattoo you woke up with?
Yeah, I don't have a reason for that, so.
let's talk about criticism, and let's just talk about, what you consume and what you don't consume. And I think the better part of the fan base doesn't understand your, I guess, demeanor or composure about how to handle success and failure, that it's so even all the time. And I know your father probably impressed that upon you a ton. And you always said early on you had brothers and sisters that would laugh at you if you were too demonstrative. I think that has served you so well, and I just don't understand the fan base that doesn't understand that part of you.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's tough to really get to know somebody when you're just watching them on a Sunday afternoon. And, I love to play football. But that's what I do. I play football. The bottom line is that this sport is really, it's an entertainment business, and I'm not great at going out there and putting on, some kind of show that I think is not really real. So
other than the spike without the swag.
Well, yeah. Other than the swag, I go out there and I try to play football, and I try to keep it at that, and that's just my personality. It's what I feel comfortable doing. And I think if you get to know me, I'm kind of a, I don't know if I'm a weird person or, but I definitely have, probably a little bit of I probably have a little bit different personality than people would probably think. And
well, it comes out on this show somehow, some way. I mean, at the podium, there's only so much you say.
Yeah,
but,
my football is what it is. I think you're out in the field to play football, and I don't really care about all the other crap. And honestly, the guys that I see do that, I usually say, "Oh man," And they're the guys that get up there and usually get good press and get some bad press and all that. And
but you don't read your press.
No, I don't. But you hear about it, just because we are in a football facility, and that's all they.
But you seem very much more so. Look, I've been doing this 29 years. I've met them all. I've known them all. I've seen quarterbacks, outfielders, pitchers. Very, very. I mean, as a person who grew up and became sort of public, and I read the stuff about me on the internet. It never makes you feel good if you're reading it. I think you're just immune to it because you just don't care to ever read about it or hear about it.
Yeah, I honestly don't read it. So unless I hear it from. In the locker room, or I can tell my mom's a little bit uptight, when she comes down and visits. I honestly don't really know what's going on. I leave that to everybody else, and you kind of assume when we lose 3 straight games, people aren't saying good things about you. But what the hell? It doesn't matter. It really doesn't. How does the last 3 weeks affect what we were going to do this past Sunday? It really it just didn't matter. Last week, the fact that we beat the Giants, whatever. It has no impact on how we'll play against the Cincinnati Bengals this week. How we play this week will have no impact on how we play either the Bengals or the Colts.
And if you follow the league, you know that that's not just Joe Flacco or just the Ravens. That's the NFL, just all the way around.
And don't get me wrong. I mean, there is ways you can build momentum and you can get better week to week. But really, once that game's over on Sunday and the 60 minutes is up. It's time to move forward to the next one, and part of being a winner in this league and a team that stays around for a while and a player that stays around for a while is your ability to deal with all those things. Whether it's and that can come in many forms. It can come in getting beat up, in the press, and it can be dealing with injuries of your own, of other teammates. And the bottom line is when those things happen, you can't blink. I think a lot of people will tell you it's not just football. I think in anything you do, I think if you listen to everything, all the noise around you, and let all the little things affect you, I don't think you'd really accomplish what you want to accomplish in the end. I think you'd eventually let that stuff get to you, and you'd kind of use it as an excuse almost. And I just don't think that's what I'm about. I don't think that's what our team's about. And I think that's why we will come out, and we have come out of this thing on the other side, and we will continue to do that year in and year out.
Is there a role model for both of you? I know, Dennis, in the past you talked about Todd Heap as sort of teaching you the ropes. But Joe, for you, if I would compare you to anybody demeanor-wise, it seems to me Peyton Manning or some of those kind of people, the way they carry themselves and the kind of guy you want to be in the end, when your career's 12, 13, 14 years in, you want to be that guy that's had that kind of longevity. And but Dennis, from your perspective, is there a role model, or am I right in saying Todd was the first guy that brought you in to show you how to do this?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely was Todd. Even before I came to the Ravens, he was someone that I always looked up to and tried to model my game after. And then when I got here, it was neat for me to be able to kind of watch what he did and learn from him. And he was a great player on the field, and he was a great person off the field. He became a good friend of mine, and it's just fun to be able to meet guys like that and play with guys like that, and learn from them.
Well, we've seen guys lose their cool, on the field, and that's 15 yards. Sometimes it's ejection. We've seen it all happen over the course of years. As you said, calls are going to go bad. Refs are going to make mistakes. It's what you do when you're done, and not showing yourself. I mean, I see Peyton Manning hanging his head, and I dislike Peyton Manning, the football player. I have immense respect for Peyton Manning, the guy. From your perspective, what he's done this year, is that kind of unthinkable to think about where he is at his age, neck surgery, broken, all of that stuff, and still be out there 2 weeks ago doing what he does?
I don't know. I think people expected that if he was able to come back and play, that he was going to be able to play at a high level. Why else would he have done it?
We've seen lots of guys try to do it. They can't, though.
Yeah, obviously. He's a good player. What else can you say? I think the impressive thing is the fact that he's on a new football team. He's been able to kind of get those guys to somewhat adopt his system, obviously. What he's used to doing, what he's done throughout, his career. And I think that's pretty impressive to, take, however long he was on the Colts and then go to the Denver Broncos and, have the ability to bring everybody along and get everybody up to speed as quickly as he was able to do that. And then go out there and have the success that now they're having. That's not an easy job. And, I think this says a lot about, what kind of, I guess you would say leader he is.
And the work ethic.
Yeah, it's not an easy job to go from one team that you've been on that many years and go to another team and, really kind of transform them into what they've become today.
You've seen Andrew Luck play? A little bit here, a little bit there?
Yeah, I honestly haven't seen Andrew play too much. Just a couple highlights here and there.
That's also an amazing story, that they very well look like the team that's going to be coming in here next week to play. How do we feel about the Indianapolis Colts here in Baltimore? Not a big fan. The Mayflower bands were a couple miles away.
That should be
I know that doesn't mean anything to you young whippersnappers, but it still bother some people here. Yeah, a lot of it. So, but that's next week's battle. We wish you good health this week, and thanks again for giving us another incredible year and a Festivus where I can wear my purple Santa hat and be looking forward to playoff battles. Joe, thanks for coming out. Dennis, thanks for everything this year. One show we know we're doing next week. We'll hope to continue the playoff run and keep it going through January. Give it up for everybody at the Harriman House, our friends at Bud Light, Fremont Mortgage, Joe, Dennis, Glenn, the whole NST crew. Hope everybody's having a great holiday. We're going to come back with some more WNST programming and playoff football after this.
If you love Baltimore sports, you'll love WNST.net.